I guess I didn't swag enough. Stupid fruity pebble chain. We bag enough. I guess I didn't swag enough. Stupid fruity pebble chain. We bag enough. Poppin' tan model BC couldn't brag 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 enough. I guess I didn't swag enough. Stupid fruity pebble chain.
And welcome once again to another episode of the Horizon Roundtable. I am Bob McDonald, and joining me is my co-host Jim Cerro.
Hey Bob, I almost completely forgot about this podcast since it's the end of June and it's not really exactly college basketball season. But then, thanks to my calendar and the alert system I put on it, I'm here on time, ready to record and talk Horizon League basketball as always.
Well, that makes one of us. Well, Jim, you can find on Twitter at Jim Cerro. You can find us on the web at horizonroundtable.com. You can pull up links to all of our social media accounts and sites where podcasts are available at horizonroundtable.com/subscribe. You can also sign up for the email alerts. Anytime we publish an article on horizonroundtable.com, you can sign up for the emails. You get an email, you get an article in your inbox. So go do that. Become a patron, patreon.com/horizonroundtable. And the features are going. And Jim, as you know, if we hit 100 paid subscribers, guy. I know some of you are signing up for free. That doesn't count. We have 100 paid patrons. It's $1 a month, guys. We'll get rid of the Google ads. Otherwise, and then there's a time limit on that. Preview week. If we get 100 by preview week, the Google ads disappear. So sign up, become a patron. You're not getting nothing, something for nothing. Okay, it's nothing for something. You're gonna get exclusive access to the features. You're gonna get early access to preview week. You'll get early access to the power rankings during the season for $1 a month at patreon.com/horizonroundtable. So to your point, yeah, it is the summer. But that's not to say that there's absolutely nothing going on. I mean, teams are already practicing. The summer workouts are in full swing, which makes the next thing that I'm about the first. And by the way, Jim, of course, we're recording this on the Sunday, which is about 2 days. The last 2 days, we're at 11 teams. But Northern Illinois is coming.
In my heart, we've been at 12 for a while.
You are to your point. Yeah, I mean, really,
we've been covering the league. So,
yeah. Well, good
July
news
1st is merely a formality in our hearts.
It really is. Also, as also a formality is the fact that the next episode we do, which will be probably sometime after we'll probably drop it sometime after the 4th of July, which by the way is the next week. We're not doing jack then. We are working on getting Northern Illinois' athletic director, Sean Frazier. We're going to have him on. So that'll be our project for July. And then after that, I don't know, probably we might do something in between. We definitely, obviously, we've got the writers forum at the end of August. So that's always usually a good time.
Bob, in between, you're going to have to defend your way too early rankings because,
yeah,
some Johnny Smartass behind a random user ID is going to definitely be like, Detroit's not supposed to be that high, or whatever you've got going on with your early rankings.
Oh yeah, that's right. The way too early, the way too early Horizon League rankings. Oh crap, I almost forgot about that. I've been shuffling back and forth a little bit on kind of tweaking those. Those come out since we're recording on Sunday. July 1st is a big day for us. Northern Illinois officially becomes a Horizon League member. The next of our Patreon features drops. Actually, it's going to be the one with Greg Kula's Woodland Gym feature, which incidentally is kind of a weird one because for some reason nobody at Cleveland State wanted to talk to him about it. So weird. Got Greg Campy though. on that feature. So, but you gotta pay to be a patron to actually read that feature and all the other features we've already posted last month. And of course, also on that day is the way too early rankings, which going to be mad about. I'm sure somebody's going to be mad about. I actually say that because I actually did disclaimer that this year with like, you know what? I learned absolutely nothing from the last 2 years I did this, and I'll probably have not learned anything again. But that's okay. I've kind of resigned myself to the fact that there are going to be some of these picks I'm going to be completely wrong about. Go argue with the wall.
It could have been a lot worse. Like I always think about the Tuesday after the national championship game, and people are putting out their way too early top 25. Like, okay, well
Why?
that's yeah.
I mean,
So like
you
you
just
at least waited
exactly. They
till
didn't even
July
like.
when the rosters were mostly set.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I do it that way, mostly because of the fact. I mean, I'm not saying that I know everything. In fact, a couple of cases I know absolutely nothing. Wright State fans have not let me forget it. But still, but still, but yeah, all of that has happened in July 1. It's weird that we're doing all the we're busy right in the middle of the summer when basically nobody's doing anything except for the NCAA. The NCAA is doing something. They did something. They did something pretty big. Finally, could have did this like a month ago and saved us the summer, but hey. And that's something, of course, is the so-called 5-for-5 eligibility model, where you get where kids coming in. I guess you have to either what the later of you turn 19 or you enroll in college, whichever happens first. The you have 5 years to you now have 5 years to complete your eligibility, which means theoretically you could have yourself 5 years. You could have yourself 5 years of 5 years of playing time. That's happened. Also, what happened, and this is something that we knew was going to happen, and apparently nobody really thought this one through, but the this new rule goes into effect for all the people who do not have who have eligibility left. Even if you have a 1 year of eligibility left, guess what? This applies to you. Does not apply to anybody from who exhausted their eligibility in 2026. So everybody from the class of 2022 apparently is just shit out of luck. Or so we think.
When I think about my initial response to all this, though, is it's okay to have an eligibility framework that's 5-for-5, starting by a certain age, whatever, adherence to it, stay the course.
Yeah.
What's going to happen the first time a player who is in their 5th year gets hurt and misses a season? And now they're looking for a waiver for a 6th year because it's affecting their pro prospects. Like, part of the issue we seem to have with eligibility rules right now is there are eligibility rules in place and there's zero enforcement of said rules because the NCAA seems to reside in fear of many things, but not wanting to be professional sports and having a players union and having all these other things that go into that. And so it's fine to say 5-for-5, but are we going to stick to 5-for-5? Because as you're alluding to, Bob, you're already seeing lawsuits coming on 5-for-5 to gain certain players, many of whom were in the Horizon League, eligibility for an additional season. We have to, at some level, be able to say, no, you finish under the rules that were in place, you're done. But here we sit, a few days into this, already facing a battle.
Correct. And I'm glad that's a great segue into the lawsuits, which were clearly literally filed 5 minutes after this, because the NCAA has been telegraphing this for like a month, more than a month. I mean, this is not news. This is not really, the entire model isn't really any news to anyone. And so the entire thing is being, we already have like at least one guy who's kind of, well, according to Ross Dellinger from Yahoo Sports, over 50 players that are in the class of 22 are in various states, because it's not going to be just one, apparently, are going to be filing for injunctions and all that good jazz. All right, we already saw one. We already saw one that was filed in Hamilton County, of all places, right here in Ohio, in close proximity. Well, I would say close. I'm going to say close proximity to Northern Kentucky, because it's not anywhere near me, and there are different Ohio's, Jim, as you know. But the first salvo was in Hamilton County, filed by 15 players, 3 of which are familiar to us in Horizon League circles. Was it 3 or was it 4? I cannot remember. I know I screwed this up. I screwed this up once already. I know Ice Emery was in that suit. Zaire Wells from Oakland also was in that. I actually missed Chris Carroll for some reason. From Youngstown State, he's also a part of that group. Oh yeah, it was just those 3 guys. It sounds like at a certain point in time, Brody Robinson from Oakland is going to jump in somewhere, not this one, but somewhere. Now, mind you, of course, this is the request for a temporary restraining order on this particular suit has already been denied, but obviously restraining order and injunction are 2 different things. Jim, I should have went to law school. No, I don't. No, believe me, I don't want to. No, I don't like the law, and yet I'm reading all this law crap. Why? I'm a sports guy. I'm not a law guy. Damn it.
Between this and the IU Indy lawsuits, your billable hours for 2026 are sky high, but your income from all those billable hours is the same as it was had you not done that work. So yeah, maybe you should have gone to law school and gotten paid
Hell no.
for this work that you're doing.
Did I have to square myself with my active disdain for the legal profession, which is ironic because I married someone who was at one point a paralegal, absolutely loves law. It's a duality, man.
Over here where I sit, I'm just happy they renewed Law and Order for a 27th season.
Oh man.
All right, this podcast is getting bad in a hurry. Let's get back. So we got Carroll, we got Zaire Wells. Now, Zaire Wells, did he play? Is he from Ohio? Like, what's the Ohio?
No, I don't know what his
Where was his D2 play? Like, was that in Ohio?
That's a good. No, I cannot remember. But well, I mean, Ice Emery isn't from Ohio either.
But he played his last year at Cleveland State,
True.
so I can kind of see why. With Ice Emery, it's interesting because he is a guy that in his first year when he went to Merrimack, right out of high school, he went to Merrimack.
Yeah.
He played barely, but he played. Like, because Ice is the kind of guy that, like, he's a bet on himself kind of guy. Like, he's moved around.
Yeah.
He's, always sought out opportunities where if he had an opportunity, he knew he could perform. And obviously we saw that this year in Cleveland State, his best year in college basketball. But he played his freshman year when he shouldn't have. And had he just redshirted that year, he'd be playing in 5th year, now with no issues. Nobody would think twice. But he played too many games, spot duty off the bench, played against a couple of non-D1s, whatever. Like, if he had to do that all over again, I'm sure he would have taken a red shirt that season and then to actually get paid meaningful money as a 5th year senior in college basketball.
And by the way, yes, to your point, Zaire Wells is from Queens. His transfer was from Lenoir Rhine. So yeah, he is like, yeah, that's kind of an oddball. I thought he would probably file somewhere closer to home, but I don't know.
Well,
or he file in Michigan like Brody Robinson originally did. Because remember, Brody Robinson when he initially announced, he actually filed for an injunction originally and got denied. This was even before all of that the eligibility thing went down. And I don't expect those to be the only guys either.
Zaire Wells is operating under the no time like the present. I'll do it now, and you know, take my chances on somebody excluding me because they don't have the standing, in Ohio to do anything with his particular case since it has nothing to do with Ohio.
No, I mean it has everything. If we're being honest, it just has to effectively do with. I don't think all of these guys are even from Ohio. It's just that's what that. I mean, there was a location they were going to file at, and that was it right there. I mean, they could have filed from like Timbuktu, Missouri, and it wouldn't have mattered. The what we see now is going to be the same thing we see probably play out in courtrooms all over the country. I don't know how many, but it will
I don't
happen.
know if
I
I'm
expect it will happen.
if I'm these guys. I probably want to file this thing in Texas and use the Brendan Sorsby judge and get that guy making a ruling on this.
Oh Jesus, yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I feel like there would have to be at least one Texas Tech guy in there somewhere or something, or at least one of these guys is promised to, it looks like might have a shot to transfer into Texas Tech for this to have to even work.
Brody
Probably.
Robinson, Brody Robinson's from
There's no
Texas.
fuckery going on there. No, not at all. No. But
Well, as it
also I
stands,
don't
getting this
to be
whole framework going, I was just, like, okay, I think 5 for 5 is fine. I think that will actually improve college basketball. It maybe will
sure.
hopefully prolong a little bit of like for the guys who are not just job hopping every year, but maybe putting a little time in. Like, hey, dude, think of Wright State.
Yeah.
So um, it's early on Sunday when we're recording this. What's the tall guy's name for Wright State? The freshman,
Our Oh,
the
you're talking about
freshman
Kellen Pickett.
Pickett. There's a good example. Now, a Kellen Pickett, he doesn't have to rush to try to get paid. I'm sure he's making good money from Wright State, but like he doesn't have to rush to try to get the,
Mhm.
high 6 figure, low 7 figure deal. He can take a little bit more time, develop his skill, and then play 2, maybe 3 years with Wright State, and then still get paid for 2 years from somebody else. Like, but
Sure.
that will having a longer runway at Wright State potentially improves
Mhm.
mid-major college basketball. So I see that as a positive. Now, if somebody has an agent that's just like, no, you have to leave. You have to leave now. You have to get as much money as you can. Maybe all that's doing is improving high major college basketball because now you have more guys in the funnel that have a fifth year. There'll be more of those guys playing high major, less of that experience in the mid major. So we'll see what it looks like when it all shakes out. But there's an opportunity here for the mid-major to
Sure.
maybe come alive again in the NCAA tournament, something that we've been missing for the most part. I mean, this year's NCAA tournament, we didn't get any Sweet 16 little guys.
Mhm.
I think last year was the same. We didn't get any little guys to the Sweet 16. Perhaps, creating an eligibility funnel that's providing for older players will allow somebody, preferably from
Yeah.
the Horizon League, but somebody to put together a team that actually, has a few old, highly skilled guys and do some damage.
I think that's the other part of this too, because you're looking at it, and honestly, I'm looking at this whole entire thing, even this legal push, and I've asked myself this question. I'm sure if everybody else has asked this, like, as far as the Horizon League is concerned, like, is there anywhere, even if one of these guys gets an injunction and is these class 22 guys, even if they do that, is there anybody who would even come? Are there even spaces open? I mean, technically, yes, there are, but will that happen? And I really don't know. I mean, usually sometimes there's kind of last minute, you do bring in some last minute folks from time to time. This is the Horizon League; it happens all the time. We've seen it many, many times, mostly from Detroit Mercy during the Mike Davis era. But aside from the outgoing players, I don't really see, as far as the Horizon League is concerned, especially this last legal thing. I don't see the impact. As to your point, this new 5 for 5 model will have long term for the Horizon League, which to your point will also, I feel, will be pretty eligible. I mean, will be. I think I agree. It probably should be pretty beneficial. I feel like also at a certain point, I feel like the player movement is. I don't know if it's going to diminish without anything related to the NCAA actually doing something about player movement, because I don't see that happening because it's the NCAA and they don't, it took them this long to get to this point. But as I've alluded to, this arms race going on in college athletics in general, the whole point of this, there at a certain point in time, this isn't, there needs to be some return on investment. Um, I don't think we're there yet, but I think long term, some of these folks who are just shoveling money into these schools are gonna start thinking, you know what, I'm shoveling all this money and not getting anything out of it, and maybe I should stop doing that. And that I feel
Well,
like that might also hit the Horizon League too.
at the mid-major level where we live,
Mhm.
I think you're seeing rosters in the Horizon League pushing into the low seven-figure range.
Yeah,
I think that return on investment's a hard thing to quantify because it's like, hey,
yeah,
I spend a million and a quarter, million and a half if anybody's spending that level. But even if I spend 800 or 900,000 on a roster, I'm probably
hmm
going to have two or three really good players and a couple other good guys who are more than competent, and therefore I'm going to be in the top of this league, battling for the championship and the automatic bid. And in the case of Wright State last year, getting the automatic bid. And I guess you can't say it's worth $1 million or 800,000 or $1.2 million, whatever it might take to win this league in terms of straight ROI.
hmm
But if you, it certainly keeps you in the game, as opposed to if
hmm
you're spending nothing or very low amounts, you're not going to be competitive. You're not going to be.
yeah,
You're gonna be looking around a lot faster, going, should we be D1? Should we be have athletics at all? And there's going to be a different conversation on campus for schools that don't spend, but the dollar amount isn't obscene to be competitive at this level. I mean, it might feel big for if you have a $3 million budget and you need $1 million worth of players. Like, okay, it's a third, but I just feel like there's an opportunity for like not necessarily one-to-one return on investment, but you can go pretty far in this level of basketball with a not insurmountable amount of money, because we see teams in this league spending that type of money.
yeah. I think the other
But like
part
an
of this
Akron,
too is,
I was say think of like Akron in your neck of the woods, Bob. Like
yeah.
they've been spending in that low seven-figure range. They did very
And I
well.
don't know where Akron gets the money from either, because that institution just keeps bleeding money in general. So they must be able to hit up a lot of rich old guys down here.
Is it the
I wouldn't
is
be
it the
surprised.
is it the leaf filter guy that does NASCAR? I thought he was a big Akron guy. Colleague.
I Matt Collick, yeah, I don't know. That's
He's
a good
he's
question.
big on the football. I know that for sure.
Yeah,
And then
a lot of
I assume LeBron is throwing some cash over there.
I don't I don't know.
Pretty sure LeBron's throwing some cash in there. Not
I
all
don't
of it,
know.
but some.
I think if he's going to throw money at anybody, he's going to throw it at Drew Joyce at Duquesne, which we know is not Akron. But
It's East
it's a
Akron.
good question. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure. I don't
But okay,
know.
Miami of Ohio. They had a seven-figure roster this year, and you'd
Yeah,
be hard pressed to say that institutionally it wasn't worth. The return on investment they got institutionally was really good, and that's obviously a very high end academic institution as well, and
yeah.
so that probably paid for itself at some level this year
I'm sure it did,
in the
especially at a school
Horizon.
like Miami.
Yeah, in the Horizon League, where you know good basketball can help build a better brand on campus. I mean, it probably can help keep students going, but at the end of the day, I just feel like five for
That
five.
probably when we're talking about the Horizon League, it probably depends on the campus too, though. So
Yeah,
there's
it
that.
depends on ones that have like on-campus student housing or near off-campus housing, that aren't total commuter schools. Like, you know, I think of them.
Well,
I live in
and I think
Milwaukee.
about that too because
I would say Milwaukee has a actual vibrant student body living on or near campus.
yeah,
They have an
I
opportunity
think
to draw.
yeah, I think that dynamic is changing though too, um, which is funny because in the if I said that in the mid 2000s, I'd have considered myself completely insane. Where during that time there was a push to get more students on campus and build more housing, and now it's like half of the classes are online. So what the hell's the point? So I don't know. It's there. It's again, it depends on the campus, obviously. Some places it works, some places it's Cleveland State. So, but I think the other part of this too, I we gotta, you know what, I gotta ask about this whole because this whole proliferation of agents. I I gotta ask, is there some like standard for agents? Because I've never heard of any, and I feel like it's
No,
just the wild, wild west at this
it
point.
is. There
And
is
it's
no
like
standard.
some of these guys are on some of these dudes are on the up and up, and some of these dudes are fly by nights, get in where you fit in type of guys and just gas these kids up, and then it just ends badly. I feel like gassing kids up who've been gassed up their entire playing careers, I might add. And then when they find themselves on the end of the bench somewhere and not getting any playing time and potentially messing up their pro careers wherever it happens to be, I don't know.
Well,
It
you can't have certification of agents in the NCAA because you don't have a players union to certify them through. Like in the
Yeah.
NBA, the NFL, MLB, those agents are vetted through the players union. So here you have basically every player is an independent contractor, if you will, and
Hmm.
so there's no certification process. I thought it was interesting when you think about agents. Like, I don't know if you caught the article in the Dayton paper about C.J. O'Hara joining Wright State and how how that process played out. But like he basically says in the article, his agent's like, you got to go, you have to go. Like his agent pushed him to transfer, and then the schools that were interested were like Rice, Appalachian State, Georgia State. You know, certainly nothing that was where he thought he would be. Now
Which
I
are pretty much more lateral moves than they are, step up.
yeah. Or slight step up. Think of Rice as playing in the, I believe, American Athletic
That's true.
Conference. Georgia State, SoCon. That's more probably lateral.
Yeah.
Appalachian State, I believe, is also. Uh, no, they're not in the SoCon. Sun Belt. Sun Belt's where those
Yeah.
are, not SoCon. Excuse me. Those are more lateral. But the idea of like, there's an agent saying, "Hey, you got to jump in the portal." If you remember, he was in the portal before the portal opened.
Yeah.
He
I
or
remember that.
he announced he was going to the portal. So yeah, to your
And he was
point, like
there for a while too.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and you had Green Bay trying, from what it sounds like, trying to bring him back at multiple times, and so the point I'm making with all this is like on the agent front, I'm not saying he got bad advice, but definitely I can't imagine, when he started out with this process after being an all league performer, thought I'll end up in the Horizon League at another member school. I just, I don't think that's what the intention was.
No.
And in his particular case, he has to now have another massive year to now really get to the big time where he probably wants to be to finish out his career. Or
Sure.
actually, he would have 2 more years now with 5 for 5, or 2 more years after this. So never mind.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. We got to. Oh man, I'm gonna have a fun time doing the math on that. Uh, that's all right. With this injunction, within with this in the injunctions being filed, requests being filed and whatnot. I took a bunch of players off of the transfer tracker because I didn't think that we were gonna get to a point where this is going to be they were going to that this was going to be kind of a dead issue. Obviously, it isn't. Um, and then again, some of these players who did announce they were going to be in the transfer portal decided, you know what, it's not worth it. We're going to go do something else. I mean, Albert Vargas, who played at Robert Morris, who had put his name in, who is intended to go to the transfer portal, was out of eligibility, falls in the same category as the Ice Emerys and the Brody Robinsons of the world. Instead of going the injunction route, he's signed to a pro team. So it's kind of a decision point at this point. And I think we talked about this earlier, where the NIL money theoretically is going to be better than, say, your first couple years overseas. I still feel that might be true, but then again, there's always that element of the no, where some of those guys are going to command that, and then some of those guys are absolutely not going to command that. And again, there's a lot of murkiness in it for sure. It's just murky territory, and there's a lot of things that, like, I don't really understand. That, I mean, I don't know what you call it. Do you call it, do you call it betting on yourself? Do you call it ego? Do you call it some dude gassing you up who has no business gassing you up? I mean, it could be a lot of things, but I don't know. Could it be
I just
guys
remember
who
when
genuinely want to, even if it's like a step up or a step, a lateral move or a step down, an opportunity to play? Maybe not. Maybe there's no money. The money factor isn't even in there at all. I don't know. I'm sure there is a lot of different factors, and we could, talk about it till the cows come home, I'm sure.
we entered the portal, there was a post. I forget who posted it, but like the schools that had supposedly Michigan was on the list after they just won a national championship, and
Yeah.
I can't for the life of me believe that Dusty May was sitting in the office pre taking the Mavericks job and thinking, you know what? If I just had Ice Emery, I think we could run this thing back. No. So, but
Like, how much? Yeah, how much
I'm
of that?
assuming
There's just a little bullshit in all that all the time, but that's been the case forever. Like, when you see, like, and this is why I'm like, I don't even like pay attention to the post about, oh, this person has heard from, and it's like an entire list of schools. I'm like, yeah, okay. I think I made a joke about this probably last year, where, like, what does heard from mean? Is it a text from a assistant coach saying sup? I don't know.
well, and
Like,
that's my point. It's like, but if you're one of these players and you've been hearing from, a Power Five or Power Four school, and your other, opportunities to play in Kazakhstan, yeah, maybe you're gonna say, I'll take my chances on that. Hopefully, that Power Four school, wants to pay me, and I can play in America and be on national TV and do whatever. But like at the end of this, like all these people filing for an injunction, I think that the challenging point is there's just not that many spots left for them. So like,
no.
what are they hoping for then? To sit out this year and come back and play a year from now at the high major level?
My only thought here is that there are, I feel like a guy like Brody Robinson has a landing spot. They just need to work the legal stuff out, because it's pretty clear he did. Otherwise, he wouldn't have filed for an injunction months ago already. So theoretically, he might have. It sounds like he probably has one. He just needs to work out the legal kinks. And that may also be true for Ice Emery. I don't know. It might be true for a bunch of these guys. I don't know. We'll only know is whether or not, these guys get the thumbs up or thumbs down, and this may take a while, and it may take a while to the point where they're running up against the start of school for a lot of the start of the fall semester for a lot of these schools, and then where are you going to be? Then you might run into you might end up in a situation like Cam Woods ended up, where he sat out an entire semester and then had to, his only option was, he luckily ended up at USC, but he only was there for half a season.
Yeah,
and,
I think what you might see is like some of these teams that you'll see signing these foreign pros. Those foreign pros aren't on campus until the fall. Yeah. For various reasons, with their student visas and things. So maybe you can cut, you might say, oh, well, we'll cut ties with, some guy from Slovakia that we don't have here, so we can get Brody Robinson today. Like, okay, maybe I could see something like that, but generally most of the schools are going to be full on their roster. Horizon League perspective, Green Bay not full on their roster because they had some pretty massive negative news on the roster front, so that's going to impact their season with
True.
Jalen Overway not
Yep.
being healthy enough to play this year due to another knee injury. But somehow, and I don't understand the rules, he's going to stay with Green Bay, and they're going to be able to replace him on the roster. So
Yeah.
they're trying to add somebody. So maybe there's somebody in this list that once they win their Ohio court case can end up in Phoenix country. And then
Theoretically, yes.
all of a sudden I'll stop railing on these rules when we have a replacement for our starting center.
Well, let's see. Well, here's the other thing too, and I mentioned this before. There are Horizon League teams that actually didn't max out their rosters because obviously, as we know, post house, you can have 50 a max of 15 guys on the roster, and I know obviously there's some grandfathering in there somewhere along the lines. And there are teams that are full up for sure, and they can't really do anything. Detroit Mercy's one of them. Milwaukee's one of them, but Oakland, they theoretically have a couple of spots. Cleveland State does. Youngstown State does. Robert Morris might. So theoretically, some of these guys may come in and say, "Hey, yeah, if we get these, even though they're all in the middle of summer workouts and whatnot, like sure." I don't know how that messes with the chemistry though of the overall team dynamic though. I've always been a little leery of that, and maybe it's again because we saw Detroit Mercy for years put together their rosters at the last minute and not really have the manpower to have a full team workout over the summer, and we saw the end result of that on a lot of occasions. And I don't know how much I don't know if that's usually a great idea. Just throw that out there.
Bob, I'm a fan of a program that brought a kid in on a Monday in December and played him on a Thursday of the same week in December. There is no no logic to some of this stuff, and that
Or
is our
Jim,
good
as
friend.
I'd like to call it, Jonathan Levy crawled so we all could walk because everyone else
Yes,
could walk.
yes. And obviously that didn't work out that great. Although it worked out, like he was a reasonable enough player. He was fine. Seemed kind of fit in, but you don't necessarily know what you're getting. The guys aren't coming in. They don't have the rapport amongst each other. They don't have the
That's
built-in
what I'm
like
saying,
this is the
and that's
standard of how we do things. Like they might understand the X's and O's on the court, but then there's if everybody else is like doing things a certain way, it takes a while to get up to speed with that stuff.
yeah.
So I
And in a league
definitely
like this, that is extremely important because you do run into you do run into the issue of yeah, we got all these guys, we spent all this money. How are they going to how are they going to work as a team? And that's always the question mark. And in a league like the Horizon League, I mean, theoretically you might be able to get away with that in the non-conference, even though even though you know that's usually probably not the time you should be doing that. And maybe when you get during to the conference schedule, then maybe the guys you brought in will gel a little bit better. But I feel like that's a risk, especially with the Horizon League, where you have seen and you will continue to see teams from the top, from bottom to top, come out of nowhere. I mean, theoretically nowhere, and outperform expectations. Kind of like Wright State did to us last year. And
God bless
then,
him.
yeah. But yeah, that's it. And by the yeah, so that's definitely a thing that I look at and think about and like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's always a bunch of unknowns, and I speak about unknowns, and here I am going to be putting out a way too early predictions.
Well, I mean, you think about it, like Wright State, their starting backcourt was turned out to be two high major guards. Like, all
Yeah.
right, yeah,
Oh yeah,
that's
absolutely.
good. Yeah, and he had a whole bunch of other really good players on this level, that were filling out the rest of the roster. But just starting with Cooper and the guy that went to Houston, Player of the Year, that's
TJ Birch.
TJ
Yeah.
Birch. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing
I,
too.
I was
Like,
up late last night, Bob, and then I got up,
it
and
happens.
I wasn't up for long before I started recording this podcast. So I'm operating on low battery power.
No, I get it. But yeah, I feel like the returns on those guys, getting those guys in and they produce what they do is probably the best marketing tool you can get, because then you can get guys, you can retain some guys, you can retain a Kellen Pickett, and you can retain a guy like Andre Holden, who probably could have went into the portal and found something else. And you can attract a guy like a CJ O'Hara, who may have been aspiring higher, but instead is going to go to the defending conference champions in an instance of Horizon on Horizon crime. And it's definitely something to take into account. And I feel like that's kind of where but again, I guess as I again alluded to, it's going to be all about how do these guys play together. And also crossing your fingers that you don't have any that you can stay healthy, because this is something obviously that affected Milwaukee very, very much this past season, because that team was a mash unit. That team should have been a lot better than it was, but man, the injuries just killed them. Absolutely killed them. And there's always that factor when we're talking about the Horizon League too. Always that factor. So, and again, I'm thinking about this, and yeah, I'm gonna just pull 12 names out of my ass here soon. That should be fun. It's always fun. By the way,
Somebody has to do it. Might as well be you.
Yeah, and I'm doing it in July, not like the beginning of April. And it doesn't even make any sense for the Horizon League anyway, because you know as well as I do that given the way players move, there is no chance on the planet you would ever get any of those right anyway. Like that's a fool's errand. That is a fool's errand. Wright State, by the way, has a new athletic director too, by the way. So
as far as I'm
yeah,
concerned, that's another future guest for the podcast.
theoretical. If I do that, I'll have to do that 2 more times, because remember, because Wright State has a new AD, Northern Kentucky still needs to find a permanent new AD, and let's not forget Chris King is no longer the AD at Robert Morris. And those are the ones we know about. Who knows who else is going to go find something else?
Well,
I don't know.
in AD news, it's kind of interesting. You saw for Green Bay,
I did.
They had signed Josh Moon to an extension with a pay raise, and they paired that with a previous extension and pay raise for Coach Karius for the women's basketball team.
Yeah.
And then, not to be left out, our boy Dougie G, he got a pay raise and an extension.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I mentioned all of that in my latest edition of the men's starting 5, which is on HorizonRoundtable.com, by the way, along with the kind of the initial stuff about the 5-for-5 stuff. But yes, it's interesting. I didn't mention this, but it's kind of funny to watch now that kind of the long-term stability that is currently on paper in place at Green Bay, and you juxtapose that to the chaos, especially on the men's side, not the women's side. Obviously, they've always been super solid, but just kind of the chaos on the men's side for going on like the three before last year. I welcome it. Like, yeah, cool. You're all going to be in the same place theoretically, you'll all be in the same place you were for years. Cool. Love it.
Well, they have big buyouts, so that's it does give some.
Yeah, the buyout. I didn't read the buyout on the for the new on in Gottlieb's new contract, and it's not as comically large as it cartoonishly large as it was originally.
It,
So
it is
that's
to
helpful.
start with.
Yeah,
Like this year, if he has a good year this year, it's large.
yeah.
I know that it was over seven
If he has a
figures.
good, well, again, if he has a good year, he ends up at a power. If he ends up at a
Yeah,
power conference school, they're gonna have that's gonna he's gonna have to pay that out. I
yeah.
don't recall that being in. I actually do not recall that being in the original contract. If he ends up getting a job at a power school, or I don't remember. I don't recall that being the case, which is actually again a sign of progress, especially for
Yeah.
Green Bay. Um,
The sign of progress for Green Bay is that his salary is jumping up more to the midpoint of the league as opposed to being
it is,
always in the
yeah,
bottom
because
2 or 3 in the league. And
yeah,
obviously, Coach Karius, they pay her at the top of the league
of
as
course,
as well they should. She's been
obviously.
fantastic for them. And speaking of her,
Especially since
somehow pulled
they
off a
swung the
home and
home and
home.
home with Duke, man. Wow. So that looking forward to 2027 when we got the home and home with start of the home and home with Duke with Green Bay.
My daughter, who plays basketball, she's young. She said to
Hmm.
me, she goes, Dad, can we go to that game? And I was like, yeah, we could probably get tickets. She's like, well, can we get season tickets? And I was thinking to myself, oh, to be young and not really understand that. Well, we live 90 minutes from Green Bay, so like it's not exactly like can drive up there. I mean, I drive up there for every men's game, but then to do every women's
Sure.
game with her, she has school and sports, everything else. I'm like, oh yeah, we could totally do that. Yeah, totally. But I'll have to wait until see if she really pushes the issue on that for me.
You know she's going to. I'm just throwing that out there for you, man.
Well, I
I know
distracted her this week.
I know your optimism is saying no, that's not going to happen, but I mean,
I distracted her this week. I sent her to the Ed Sheeran concert instead, so maybe she'll be like more into live music or something.
entirely possible. I didn't know Ed Sheeran was on tour this year. I
He
should know,
is,
but I don't. God.
yeah. I actually spared the public. I didn't post any of the videos I took of the concert. I spared the public. You guys didn't need to hear Bad Habits or Shivers or Shape of You or whatever he sings. But
I just keep confusing him with Rupert Grint from the Harry Potter movies.
has anybody seen
My
him at the
wife
same
hates when
place
I
at the
make that
same time?
joke. What's that?
Have they ever been in the same room at the same time?
Yes. Funny
Oh,
enough, they were actually in two Ed Sheeran videos together. I did not know this until very very much later. So yeah, that is the extent of my Ed Sheeran. Because other than the fact he did a guest spot on Game of Thrones, that's literally it. I'm not really. I know of Ed Sheeran. I just not to the extent that we should be talking about this on a sports podcast.
all right. Fair enough. I think we should stop talking about anything and just wrap it up right here. We've hit the low
I
point.
agree. So that's gonna wrap it up for us. Next episode, we're gonna lock down and get Sean Frazier, the athletic director from Northern Illinois, on. That should come in sometime in July. Earliest will probably be a week after 4th of July, maybe later. Never know. But until then, horizonroundtable.com. That is where all of our articles and all our past podcast episodes are. You can pull us up wherever podcasts are available, and you can pull us up on your Amazon Google devices. So tune in next time. Until then, thank you all for listening.